Please join us in singing our opening carol, number 221, O Come, Emmanuel. Please stand if it's comfortable for you to do that. And 225. 225, okay. Thank you. Takes a village. Moving service as we bring in Christmas Eve. We want to also welcome Rosa Diaz and her family. She's got 2 boys there with her. And we have some presents under the tree, Rosa, and children and niños. And we hope that they bring happiness to your Christmas. The call to worship. Holy and beautiful is our gathering on this eve of Advent, this time of preparation. We gather in expectation of the coming of the Christ child. to prepare room for the birth of the babe of compassion and love that passes all understanding within each of our hearts. So it is that we gather in the dark of the eve to symbolize with candles that burst of eternal flame that is Emmanuel, God with us. Please turn in the back of your hymnal to number 617, and it came to pass. It's Luke 2, 617. I will read the bold, if you will read responsively, the italics. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed.
And Joseph also went up from Galilee unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, to be taxed with Mary, his father's wife, being great with child.
And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered.
And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn.
Let us sing number 244, It Came Upon Midnight Clear. This is a caroling service. We're going to carol. Stand as you are comfortable.
Thank you.
tell the Reverend Theodore Parker's story. He's written this, he calls it 2 Christmas celebrations. And the first Christmas celebration is about the actual nativity scene. And I will preach that or tell it to you, paraphrase it. And then we'll do the second half just a little bit further on. So these are Reverend Theodore Parker, famous Unitarian minister of 1856 words. A boy was born of parents, Joseph and Mary, and named Joshua, a common Hebrew name which we often call Joshua. But in this case, we call that baby Jesus. The Hebrew nation had been very powerful in the time of David, but the tribes were dissolved, and many calamities befell the people. In their time of trouble, religious men said, God will rise up another David to defend and deliver us. For the Hebrews looked upon David, Theodore Parker's words now, as Americans look upon George Washington, calling him a man after God's own heart. Sometimes they called the expected deliverer the Messiah, that is, the anointed one, a term applied to a king or another great man. First they thought King Hezekiel would deliver them as the Messiah, then Cyrus, a king of Persia, as the anointed one, the Messiah. The expectation that a Messiah would come was quite common. But some thought the expected deliverer, the Redeemer, the second David, would be one thing, and some thought another. Just as an example, today, 1856, a few men now call their favorite candidate for the presidency a second Washington. But some think he will be a Whig and support the Fugitive Slave Bill. Some, a Democrat, and favor the enslavement of Kansas, while others think he will be a Republican and prohibit the extension of slavery. When Jesus was about 30, he began to speak in public. He broke away from the old established doctrines and forms. He was a come-outer from the Hebrew church. He told them religion didn't consist in opinions or ceremonies, but in right feeling and right action. That goodness shown to men was worth more than any sacrifice offered to God. In short, he made religion consist of piety, which is love of God, and benevolence, which is love of man. He utterly forbade all vengeance and told his followers, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. One of the most difficult teachings of Jesus we have. He did not represent religion as mysterious, the mere business of the priesthood, limited to the temple and the Sabbath. It was the business of every day, a great manly and womanly life. Jesus said, I am the Messiah. Follow me in the religious life, and all will be well. God is as near to us now as in the old times of Moses and Elias. No doubt, says Parker. Jesus made many mistakes. He taught that there is a devil, a being, evil, who seeks to ruin all men, that the world would soon come to an end, and a new and extraordinary state would miraculously take place, in which his followers would be abundantly rewarded. Strange things were to happen in this good time which was coming. But in spite of all of that, his main doctrine, which he laid most stress upon, were these his chief commandments. Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But while the people loved him, not everybody else did, and they put him to death. By and by, his followers were called Christians. But in their preaching, they did not make much account of the noble ideas that Jesus taught about man, God, and religion, or of his great manly life. But they thought his death was the great thing, and that was a means to save humankind from eternal torment. Then they went further and declared that Jesus was not the son of Joseph and Mary, but the Son of God and Mary, miraculously born. Next, he was considered God's only son, who had never had any child before, nor would he ever again. Then they thought he was a God who lived long before Jesus was born, but for the first time took human form, and at last that he was the only God, the creator and the providence of all the universe. But he was man also, the God-man. Thus gradually, writes Parker, the actual facts of his history were lost out of sight, overgrown with a mass of poetic fictions and other stories which make him a mythological character. The Jesus of fact and of well-nigh forgotten, the Jesus of fiction took his place. The new form of religion spread very much, again Parker's little aside, as spiritualism has done in our time, only in the midst of worse persecution than the Mormons even have suffered. The Christians were distinguished by their lives of religious belief and charity and their general moral excellence. And at this day, there are some 260 million people who worship Jesus of Nazareth. Most of them think he was a God, the only God. But a small number of men, of people, believe he was no God, no miraculous person, but a good man with a genius for religion. All Christians agree, though, that he was full of all manner of loving kindness and tender mercy. Therefore, all over the world today, among the Christians, there is great rejoicing on the account of his birth, which erroneously is supposed to have taken place December the 25th in the year 1. They sing psalms and preach sermons and offer prayers and make a famous holiday. But the greater part of the people think only of the festival and very little of the noble boy who was born so long ago in a tavern barn in Judea. And of all the ministers who talk about the old Christ, there are not many who would welcome a new man who should come and do the great service which Jesus did for his own time. No telling what would happen if a man with genius for a religion was now to appear. Let us sing 241, Carol in the Bleak Midwinter. Stand as you're comfortable. The second telling by Theodore Parker. This sermon took place this story took place, as Parker tells it, in 1855 in a place called So It Goes, Massachusetts. Aunt Kindly and Uncle Nathan had no children, but they had an exciting new idea. They wanted to have a Christmas celebration for all the children in So It Goes, and their parents in the new town hall Uncle Nathan was building. There would be plain cake and lemonade and games and music and dancing, and above all, a Christmas tree. At this time, Christmas trees were very rare. They would cover it with little gifts for all the children under 12. Uncle Nathan mentioned his sister's plan to one of the neighbors, who said, "Near a girl here, there's Deacon Wilburate and Squire Allen, who are all at loggerheads about the allusion to slavery, which Reverend Freeman made in his prayer 6 months ago. They had a quarrel then, you know, and they have not spoken since. If the deacon likes it, the squire won't, and vice versa. Then there's Colonel Stearns, who had a quarrel and a lawsuit with John Wilkerson. They won't go, each afraid of meeting the other. Half the parish has some myth against the other half. There's a tempest in every old woman's teapot. Widow Seedy Weedy won't let her daughters come because you said at the last meeting that rum made many a widow, and So It Goes, and sent 3/4 of the paupers to the almshouse. She said the next day that you were speaking personal and injured her feelings, and 'twas because you were just rich, and she was a lone poor widow with nothing but God to put her trust in." "Oh, dear me," said Uncle Nathan. "It is a queer world we live in, but after all, it's the best we've got. Let us try to make it better still." Aunt Kindly went around to talk to neighbors and get all things ready. Most of them liked the idea, but some thought it was very queer and wondered what our pious fathers would think of keeping Christmas in New England. A few had religious scruples and would do nothing about it. The head of the Know Nothing Lodge said, "It is a foreign custom, and I want none of them things. America must be ruled by Americans, and we'll have no dissolutions of the Union and no popish ceremonies like a Christmas tree. If you begin so, you'll have the Pope here next and the fulfillment of the 17th chapter of Revelation." Honorable Jedediah Stovepipe also opposed it. He was a rich hatter from Boston. "I'll not have my daughters, Cinderella, Jane, and Edith Sulemia, mix themselves up with Widow Wheeler's children. Widow Wheeler takes in washing after her husband was killed in a railroad accident." "No, sir," he continued, "it will not do. It will do well enough for you to talk about equality and about meeting the whole neighborhood and that sort of thing. But I intend to set my face against all promiscuous assemblages of different classes in society." At the next house, Mrs. Robinson liked it. "Oh dear, but I do hope you won't invite any of the children with darker skin. That would make it so vulgar." Mrs. Deacon Jackson hoped, "Well, it's a lovely idea. Sally Bright will not be asked, surely, because her father was in the state prison for passing counterfeit money." But as Aunt Kindly went on, she met the old deacon himself. "Well now, ma'am," he said, "I like that. That will be a Christian Christmas, not a heathen one. Of course you'll ask all the children of respectable people, but I want the poor ones too. Don't let anyone frighten you from inviting Tidy's children. And let us have all of Joe Bright's little ones. Captain Wheeler, the blacksmith, really liked it. He was a widower with a house full of sons and daughters to help. There were 2 barrels of apples and $4 in money to help out. That is what I call the democracy of Christianity. I shall see half the people of the village before this thing comes along, and I'll help it along a bit. I'll bring the old folks, and we'll sing some of the old tunes. All of us will have a good old-fashioned time. One sour old man said he didn't like it. 'Tis a popish or popish, I'm sure he said, custom. We always fast on Christmas. His family knew that to be true, as they did fast, as they did many another day, because he was too stingy to use his own water to turn the mill to grind the grain. All things were made ready. The German who worked for the cabinet maker decorated the hall just as he had before when he was in Wittenberg, with branches of holly and red berries and wintergreen and pine boughs, hemlock and laurel. All the children in the village were there. Joe Bright's children and Sib Tidy's children, 6 children were there. And all the boys and girls from the poorhouse. The widow Wheeler and her children thought no more of the railroad accident. 8 or 10 Irish children came also. Captain Weldon, Deacon Jackson, all the select men and the town clerk and the schoolmasters and the schoolmarms, all were there. Ed kindly played the piano, and old Joe Rowe, the black fiddler from Beaver Creek, played. And how he did play. The great triumph of the evening was the Christmas tree. St. Nicholas distributed gifts. Squire Stovepipe came without his family, of course, because he talked with Widow Wheeler and saw all her well-managed children, and he felt ashamed. Deacon Wilbur saw his son dancing with Squire Allen's daughter, for the young people did not care more about any allusions to slavery and a prayer 6 months ago than they did about each other. He went straight up to his neighbor. Squire Allen, give me your hand. Christmas is not a bad time to settle needless quarrels. I suppose both of us have been wrong. I know I have been wrong for one. Let bygones be bygones. And Squire replied, exactly so. I'm sorry for my part. Let us wipe out the old score and chalk up nothing but good feelings in the future. Let us begin by becoming friends. The Know-Nothing representatives, do you remember, they were adamantly against all foreign influence and only in upholding American traditions. The Know-Nothing representative was struck by the bright face of one of the girls and asked, whose child was she? She answered, O'Brien, sir. That's my name, O'Brien. And he thought, I guess it's like Uncle Nathan says, it's all prejudice. I don't like the Irish politically, but this child wearing a school medal is pure joy. So it went around the room, said Deacon Jackson, that is what I call a Christian sacrament. And the blacksmith replied, ah yes, it is a feast of love. How the children played, and how they did dance, and of the whole sportive company, not one footed the measure so neatly as Hattie Tidy, the black man's daughter. Mr. Stovepipe said, what a shame to enslave a race of such persons. Yet I went in for the Fugitive Slave Bill, and I was one of Marshal Turkey's 1,500 gentlemen of property and good standing who protested. Mr. Broadside's stout farmer said, amen. I stood by until the Nebraska bill put slavery into Kansas, and then I went straight over to the anti-slavery side. Aunt Kindly and Uncle Nathan, how happy they were. They looked like two redeemers, which indeed they were. The minister said to Uncle Nathan, "Well, I have been preaching charity and forgiveness and a cheerful happiness all my life, and now I see signs of the good times coming. There's forgiveness of injuries, old enemies reconciled. All my sermons don't seem to accomplish so much as your Christmas festival." And Aunt Kindly replied, "We only watered the ground where the seed was long since sown by other hands. Only it does seem to come up abundantly all at once." They all joined in song before departing. Shall we join in singing "Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly," number 235. I wanted to read us, let us turn to number 616 in the back of the hymnal, "For So the Children Come." Again, I will read the bold and you read the italics, please. For so the children come, and so they have been coming.
Always in the same way they come, for us to see and imagine one.
No angel herald their beginnings, no prophets predict their future courses.
No wise men see a star to show where time and day that will save mankind.
Yet each night a child is born is a holy night.
Fathers and mothers, sitting inside their children's graves, feel glory in the sky when new life begins.
They ask, where and how will this new life end? Or will it ever end?
Each night a child is born is a holy night. A time for singing, a time for wandering, a time for worshiping.
Let us receive now at this time the gifts of the congregation. These are our Christmas gifts and your maybe last chance to make a contribution that's tax deductible this year. So let us receive each other's gifts in love and give to each other with courage and caring. The Christmas gifts of the congregation will this time be received with joy. Grew up in this church, so we're thrilled to have him back tonight. One more carol, and then we'll start our candle lighting service. Number 256, Winter Night.
Oh,
Christmas tradition to celebrate the coming of light and hope in the bleak winter's night with a candlelight service. This creates a touching memory for all of us and is very symbolic of what is most meaningful in our lives. I hope that each of you has a candle and a candle holder. If not, they're right in the back. We can get some more. Everybody have one? So, there's yours on the candle. I would ask the greeters to come up, and they're going to bring the flame to the ends of each row. And if you would take your candle, can I borrow yours for a minute? Yeah. Now hold it like this. You just take your candle, take the flame, and then turn it back up, so we're not dripping wax all over the place, if you can. All right. I will light it from my chalice. We're going to sing Silent Night, Holy Night, once all of the candles are lit. That's number 251, I believe. And Walter and Linda will turn the lights out for a few minutes as we sit in the darkness. Hold the flame. join in the spirit of Christmas, love, compassion, justice, joy, and give thanks for each other that we are here together tonight on this rainy Christmas Eve. We are blessed. I am blessed, standing here, looking at you with all of your candles. You might want to look around a moment. I have some closing words from a Kildare Christmas. And somewhere the unnoticed infant has come into the world again, is lying on our straw, softening everything as a baby does, smiling, deepening the peace of Christmas. Amen. Go in peace, my friends, and join us for light refreshments in the fellowship hall as we go from the dark into the light. You want to turn the lights back on? We'll put our candles in the box when you go outside.